All right. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody that's joining us online, and for everybody that's here today. And so we're going to continue with the Torah portion. So hopefully y'all got to be part of the Torah portion earlier on. And if you didn't, you're going to have to go back and catch that, because this is like part 2 of the Torah portion, kind of like we did last week. That's all right, right?
Right.
And we explained a little bit of why do you keep Torah? Well, we explained because you got to go back to the prior one to listen. Just saying. So go to the Life of Worship Ministries YouTube channel and catch that live stream, that recording, and check out the archives. And hope it's a blessing to you. So we're going to continue with the theme. In other words, what's the Torah portion is Akrei Mot and Kedoshim, and it's based on Leviticus 16:1 through Leviticus 20:27. Those are the chapters that contain the Torah portion. And by the way, I'm just going to say this for anybody that's joining us online or anything like that, that aren't familiar with Life of Worship and the ministry here. And why do we do Torah portions? Because Yeshua did. Because he'd go to the synagogue and he even opened up the Haftorah portion on the proper day and read from it. And he said, this day, these scriptures are fulfilled in your hearing. And it just goes to show that we want to do what Yeshua did.
Yes.
That's really important. And so I think he laid out some great examples. And we want to dig into these things because these are the foundations of our faith. And when we understand these foundations, then we understand what's going on in the New Testament, in the Brit Hadashah. And we understand our true relationship with Yeshua. And we understand what we are to walk into in our futures.
Yes.
And well, I tell you what, Eddie and Tammy, by the way, I want to say this. Thank you for sending me the video on the Black Star. Did anybody get to watch a video on the Black Star?
No, I didn't even give us a tip about it.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's this phenomena that's being followed. And we've been calling things like it's a binary. Our sun is part of a binary system, and the Black Star is the sister star. And some of the things that Mike from around the world has said, because he's always so he speaks in riddles, kind of hides things. In other words, he holds the cards close, so you come back next week to listen. And this guy explains some things that Mike from around the world has talked about for a long time. And he says, well, this is what's going on. This is what's tracked. This is what the intelligence systems have been trying to keep from us. And this is what we know. And this binary system is which is coming in. It's a black star. In other words, it doesn't have a brightness about it, but it's a sister star to the sun. And in February next year, the planet, he says, we're watching this very closely. The planets in the solar system are all going to be aligned on the opposite side of the sun than where we are. And the black star will be on our side. So the electromagnetic pulls and all that type of things could create some amazing geological events. And then he went in and he talked about, here are the events that we've been tracking on the earth over the last decades. And when you see the increase of volcanism, earthquakes and all of that, and their tracking of the lava flows underneath the crust of the earth, that they've been expanding and rising. Mm-hmm. It's causing literally the mantle, the crust that we're on, dissolve and liquefy. Like when you have you have a candle underneath a candle, and it starts to, the wax above starts to melt off and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller from below. He says that's what's happening to the crust. When that happens in the crust, then the softest parts of the earth are going to be affected, like the West Coast.
Yep.
And
it's thinking.
And so it's in other words, you have to go back and listen to it. It's really amazing. It's like, oh my goodness. And then he said, when the black star comes in and it goes around the sun and goes back out, when it leaves, this was a Mike from around the world has talked about the sun, our sun going dark. It's going to pull the electrons I guess, out of the sun or whatever, protons, or I don't know the scientific terms of it, that'll cause our sun to go dark. It doesn't mean our sun's not there and we won't experience it, but it caused the sun to go dark for 3 days. And that's what Mike from Around the World was talking about. But see, but Mike from Around the World clothes it cloaks it in, to kind of hide it. Well, I have all the secret knowledge, so you just got to keep listening. Well, this guy kind of lays it out and explains it. So anybody wants that, you'll just have to let me know and I can forward that video. It was on, yes, you can go to Rumble to, let me look it up. Yeah, so you go to Rumble and it was, is it David Hunter? Is that his name? Is David Hunter on Rumble? I can pull it up real quick. So, because people are listening right now, I will go to my feed on Rumble and Greg Hunter, I'm sorry. Greg Hunter's USAWatchdog.com. And it's about a month ago. So go back and catch that. And he talked.
Repeat that one more time.
Greg Hunter's USAWatchdog.com.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I've listened to Greg Hunter for many, many years, and he's a really good news reporter. He used to be a CNN anchor. And back in the day when CNN did news, I mean, we're talking decades ago. So
Sounds like it'll mess up our.
yeah, so that's over on Rumble. And so it's very interesting. And there's and it's not only that, then there's some other things that are very concerning, considering going on to 2028 because of this relationship. But all of the earth changes that we've been seeing, and it's all building up, it's culminating, and it's biblical.
Yes.
It's the biblical events, catastrophic type of things. Yes. And he was talking about how it's causing the high winds and the increase of high winds. The hailstones keep getting larger and larger. And Mike from Around the World, he's talked about it, but it's like, I got the cards, you can't see what I have. But this guy says, look, this is what's going on. We're watching. He said, these are the things that is why I don't sleep at night. Not to cause fear, but I'm just saying, look at the hour we're living in.
Something's happening though. They're having baseball size hails in hail in some places.
We've had multiple events already in the Panhandle this year. So,
yes.
so anyway, this is. I just wanted to pass that on. Is that we're living in a time that is very, very interesting, different. And we are watching. Yes. We are this great crowd of witnesses watching the return of Messiah. We have front row seats. So anyway, that's worth checking out for anybody that wants to check it out. And those are online. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you go and give us a thumbs up if you like what's going on in the broadcast. Also, want to pop up here real quick before I get right into the Torah portion. And if you hadn't had an opportunity to give and you're trying to figure out what word I give, I'm going to put this on the screen for you to see. Where your offerings, donation, tithes, offerings, you can go to www.lifeofworshipamarillo.org and click or tap the donate button. You can go that way, and we certainly appreciate your gifts and support. Let's see. I'm going to leave that there for a few minutes because I do not have it below in the comments underneath the video because I have that on a special page. I do. I copy and paste and it's all on my old computer, but I can only run that old computer so long because the fan doesn't work. And so it overheats and it died, but it can be fixed too. But anyway, that's where we're at. I need to get it fixed. So thank you so much. You guys are a great part of the ministry, and your prayers and your support. You say, well, I can't give at this point in time, or I give to another ministry. Well, your prayer support is also just a tremendous blessing. And I want to say thank you so much for every one of you all that do support us in those ways. Okay. Akrei Mot, Kedushim, the Torah portion. Can someone tell me what Akrei Mot means?
After the death.
After the death. And what about Kedushim? Holy ones, right?
Holy people.
Holy people. There you go. and so that's what we're going to get into. So let's pray as we jump into this. Father, we just honor you and we thank you for your word. We thank you that you have given us watchmen on the walls
Yes.
that are giving us hints and clues and direct information
Yeah.
that we can help use to put together the pieces of when and where and the time that we're living in. So we look up because our redemption draws nigh.
That's right. Give us glory,
And there's just and we thank you that, Father, that we're blessed that you connect us with the right sources, and you silence out the voices that we don't need to be listening to, so that we utilize the time that we have and we use it at so it profits us and it doesn't just distract us. And so, Father, we thank you for it. Thank you for this word that you've given us today. Let the word go down deep within us. Let it do something within us that changes us, that builds us, that inspires us to let it be an interruption, a divine interruption to a cycle of life, a rut that needs to be bumped. And so, Father, we want your divine interruptions and your divine interventions.
Yes, yeah.
So that we can walk truly as living stones fit together to be a dwelling place for you in the name of Yeshua. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, let's take that off the screen. And all right, so Akremot and Kedoshim. So just a quick review. We had talked about earlier about the hope of Israel. Remember, we were talking about that. We talked about how that connects us to the Garden of Eden, and how the command in the garden was to guard and to protect, to cultivate this garden and to vigilantly and vigorously protect it. And yet Adam failed in that duty. And then when we fast forward and we get over into this Torah portion, we see that as it begins, where it says in Leviticus chapter 16, verse 1, now Yahweh spoke to Moses, after the death of the two sons of Aaron, when they had approached the presence of Yahweh and died. So that tells us, okay, well, we had a little interim from Leviticus chapter 10, and where it says in chapter 10, verse 1, now Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took their respective fire pans, and after putting fire in them, placed incense on it and offered strange fire before Yahweh, which he had not commanded them. So the story there cuts off. We have more instructions, and now it jumps forward to this point in time in Leviticus chapter 16, and the narrative continues. And then we're going to get some more instructions. But what I want to look at is this connection in the narrative that connects us with the garden. Now, remember what I've talked about in the past, how the garden is like a type of temple. It's Deanna Dye. She's talked about the garden as a temple, and all these pictures of temples, like the Ark of Noah was a type of temple. And it gives us a greater picture of, like, she even goes into details of the cosmos. And then you think about Earth, and then you drill down, you can drill it all the way down to a specific location on Earth as a temple, but that all of the universe belongs to Yahweh, and the earth is his footstool. In other words, it's a very special place. And so, but in that special place, we remember that there's this connection that we are supposed to have with Yahweh, but it's not by our methods that we enter into his presence. It's by his.
Yes.
And if we don't, as in Nadab and Abihu, there's immediately they face judgment. Now, in the Torah portion earlier, we were talking about how this connection of the tabernacle is a body. And we've talked about it in the past that it's a picture of the body of Messiah, and who is Yeshua, and who came and walked among us. He dwelt among us. It's Yah who came in the flesh and dwelt among us for a while. That's John 1:1, and or John chapter 1. And so we also have in this picture, we have several different elements that led up to the point of them even needing a tabernacle in the wilderness. And why did they need a tabernacle? Because they didn't get it. They had a mindset. They had a slavery mindset coming out of Egypt, and a slavery mindset is a mind that never thinks as a free man. It never thinks as in one who is in a position of royalty. And they were told in Exodus chapter 19 that they were a holy nation, a holy priesthood, and if that or a royal priesthood. They were identified as a set apart people from all the different peoples of the world. And yet, how can you be a royal priesthood with a slave mindset? You can't. It requires a brain washing. It takes a cleansing, a purification. It takes a renewal and a refreshing, and it takes revival. It takes an awakening to take place. And so this whole concept of the hope of Israel is in Hebrew, it's mikvah Israel. Well, what does mikvah mean? We think about mikvah going into the waters. It's the cleansing waters. But mikvah Israel is a direct name of Yeshua, the hope of Israel, as well. We want to be fully immersed in the living waters that comes down from heaven. And there's also this connection of the Evan Ma'asu. When I talked about that, what is that? It is the stumbling stone, that Yeshua is the hope of Israel and the stumbling stone, that they're having a difficulty. The rabbis had a difficulty in trying to connect the two together, because the only thing they saw Yeshua as was an imposter. There's no way that this person could be the Messiah. And then we see the persecution and ultimately the execution of Yeshua, because of they just couldn't understand that the very markers that they had to declare who the Messiah was, the one who would cleanse the leper, the one who would heal the blind and the deaf, the lame, that only the Messiah could do that type of thing. They could not understand that Yeshua, when he did it right in front of them, they were blind. And Yeshua said, the blind are leading the blind. But it takes a revelation, even when the signs are right in front of us that tell us what's going on. So that is part of the connection. Also, I want to talk about Kedoshim, meaning the holy ones, and Kadosh is meaning holy and set apart, related to Kadash. And the value of the word Kadash equals another word, which gives us a thematic connection, and that word is mashal. What is mashal? It means dominion or rule. So the connection of walking in holiness, being holy, being a set apart people, because Kedoshim is the holy ones, it connects us with something else that we need to step into. And those are people who walk in dominion and rule with the authority that we're supposed to rule with. That's why Yeshua said over in Acts chapter 1, that when they said, well, when are you going to restore? When will all these things be restored? And he said, that doesn't matter to you, but I'm going to give you power. I'm going to give you authority, and you're going to be my witnesses. Why? Because the process of perpetuating the seed from those first commands in Genesis chapter 1 to be fruitful and multiply was being once again spoken, even as Noah got the same command. I want you to be fruitful and multiply. Even as it said to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, be fruitful and multiply. He said, this is the command I want you to do. And Yeshua gives that command to the disciples there right before he ascended. And he said, I want you to go into Jerusalem, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth with this message. I want you to take the message. The message is seed. You're going to go and sow the seed, scatter the seed. Remember what we talked about last week? The word zarah. Zarah is the Hebrew word that means to scatter, as in scattering seed. Well, this is a very interesting connection, because as we get into the second part that from what I talked about earlier about this mishandling of Yah's presence, because taking the strange fire, it's about this connection of the seed. How do you mean the connection of the seed? Well, when the serpent was in the garden, remember, our words are like seed. If we are going to be a people that are scattering the seed of the word throughout the world, look at us. We're in Amarillo, Texas. We're beyond Jerusalem and Samaria. We're in the uttermost parts of the earth,
Yeah, that's true.
right? And what is the seed? It's the word, and that word is going to go and it's going to take hold into good soil, and it's going to produce a good crop. Some of the word that spread is going to go into rocky soil. It's going to grow up and get strangled out. It's going to, so we understand the process of the seed. But when we speak, do you ever consider what you speak as living seed going into the ground? So look, if Jackie, if you're speaking and you're speaking something out there, you are scattering seed.
Creating.
What type of seed do you want to scatter?
Good seed.
When we're raising our children, what type of seed are we placing in our children?
Yeah, that's
So that we want the good word to spring forth in them, or do we want something that is not of the word? Because what does that bring? It brings death. We want seed that produces life.
right.
That you can eat of all the fruit of the garden, of every seed bearing tree and plant, except for the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Seed, word, eat of it. It'll bring life. Release the seed. So like, what word are we aligning our words with? Because one brings life and the other brings death. One, you say, well, it didn't bring death immediately. It's a slow death. It can be a slow death.
You set the atmosphere.
Right? So in Leviticus 10:1-2, and Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer and put fire therein and put incense thereon and offered strange fire before Yahweh. And he commanded them not. And there went out fire from Yahweh and devoured them, and they died before Yahweh. Now, I talked a little bit about some of that in the Torah portion earlier about the boundaries. If they were to cross the boundary, they would die.
Mm-hmm.
There at the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And in essence, what they did is Tammy and the boundary stones, they crossed a boundary here. They weren't supposed to do it, but there's something more that we need to look at. What was it when a strange fire in the Hebrew gives us another hint? It gives us something to unpack and unfold and pull back the layers. The word strange fire is Esh Zarah. Esh Zarah. What is the word? Esh is Strong 784. It means fire. And the root of Zarah is Zur, and it's from Strong's 2114, if you're taking notes, and it means strange. It also means to turn aside. Well, when we're walking down the roadway and we're seeking Yahweh, but when we turn aside from seeking Yahweh, what does it mean? We did something strange. We did something that took us off the path. But yeah, what you just said, Moses was walking down a path and he saw a burning bush and he turned aside. Now I have to look and see if that Hebrew word is still connected there in the same way. Zur, turn aside to look. But yeah, that's what it reminds me of too. I appreciate you bringing that out. And but so what does this strange fire have to do with the garden? What does it have to do with the garden? Okay, this is why it's important for us to understand the value, the numerical value of Hebrew words.
It's
And-
a different word.
Huh?
When Moses turns aside in Exodus, it's a different word.
It's a different word. Okay, thank you for clarifying that. It's worth looking into. And so the numerical value of Esh Zarah is 514, and it equals another Hebrew word, which is vadikach. Well, where is that word with the root word of that lakach, which means it's a Strong's 3947, which means take. So vadikach means and she took. Well, where is that used? And where do we see that? The first mention of this is back in the book of Genesis, chapter 3. So if you want to look at me, look at me. Okay. whatever. Genesis chapter 3, verse 1, where it reads, now the serpent was more crafty than any beast of the field which Yahweh Elohim had made. And he said to the woman, indeed, has Elohim said, you shall not eat from any tree of the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, from the fruit of the trees of the garden we may eat, but from the fruit of the tree which is in the middle of the garden, Elohim has said, you shall not eat from it, you shall not eat from it, or touch it, lest you die. And the serpent said to the woman, you surely shall not die. Did Elohim lie? Of course not. For Elohim knows that in the day you eat from it, your eyes will be open and you'll be like Elohim, knowing good and evil. When the woman saw that the tree was good for food and that it was a delight to the eyes and that the tree was desirable to make one wise, she took from its fruit and ate. That is the word vadikach, and she took. Well, so this idea of the Esh Zarah, the strange fire, is connected to, and she took as she was taking the fruit. Well, what was the fruit? It was fruit from another tree. What does that fruit contain? It contains seed. So Zur is also connected to the word Zarah. Remember, Zur means strange or turn aside. It's connected, and it resembled Zarah, which we mentioned earlier, Strong's 22:19, which means to scatter or to sow. To scatter or to sow. So what is it that she took that had seed in it? And so it's suggesting that the serpent was sowing a false word, a false word. And it also implies, by the way, as we look at this and we go back into the Paleo, it's implying a division taking place. The serpent, by the false word, was dividing Mrs. Adam from the true word. Okay, so strange fire then therefore, this is really important. And when we go back and we look at last week's or the couple weeks ago's Torah portion with the strange fire, this week's Torah portion after the death of the two sons, and we see this is that what was taking place? The enemy was trying to sow a false word through the strange fire to turn aside the priesthood to bring something in that shouldn't be brought in, a strange fire. Because that's what he did in the garden. And now a repeat of the garden, the enemy is trying to do something. And so Yah said, no. If you look at it, was the tabernacle the original plan? Was there a plan to have a tabernacle in the wilderness? I don't think there was. The plan was that Yah would come and dwell not only among the people, but in the people. But after the people refused to hear his voice, and after the golden calf incident, then a tabernacle had to be built so that the people could look. Maybe they would perhaps they would have a vision of what they missed out on. What was it? Because it was in the tabernacle, like on the mountain where the cloud would come in. It was in the tabernacle that the cloud was coming out of. When the cloud began to move, they had to pack up the tabernacle and move with it. It was in this place that they were to see something that was beyond. And here, Nadav and Avihu were bringing something strange. What would happen if they were to be allowed to carry the strange fire? Would it cause the people to turn aside, to follow something strange, something different? The same thing that had been going on in Babel when they built a tower. The whole idea of Babylon, the whole idea of Egypt was things that would distract. In other words, things that would enslave.
Yes.
Because they would lose their free thinking. And Yah said, no, I'm going to establish dominion. It's been stolen in the garden. It's been stolen in all of these different ways throughout history up to this point. I'm not going to allow it to be stolen again, because this is what I want to show you, is that I am going to come in the flesh and I don't want it mixed from the beginning. I want you to understand what I'm about to reveal to you so that when you see it, you'll know it, you'll understand it. And I'm going to take 1,400 to 1,500 years. I'm going to take centuries to speak this message to you of what it means to draw close to me and to see me and to know me and to make these pilgrimages to join with me on the appointed days so you will come and see and know me when I come and I arrive on the scene. So strange fire, this whole idea, and these connections, but also in the connection of this Torah portion, it says the two sons. Now we pointed out in the Torah portion earlier how it doesn't list Nadab and Avihu in this Torah portion again. Their names are blotted out. Their names are not here in the word, and it is just the two sons. Well, Aaron had 4 sons. Yeah, that's right. And so Aaron had 4 sons, but it says these 2 sons. The Hebrew word for 2 is Shani. Shani. It comes from Strong's 8147. If you're taking notes, it means 2. Shanaim from Shana. And also get this. It also means to change or alter. So when you have 1, you have echad, you have unity. But when you introduce 2, have you introduced a counterfeit? Now, let's keep in mind, this is not to misunderstand how Adam was 1 and Yah pulled Mrs. Adam out from his side, where the 1 became 2 and then the 2 becomes 1. This is not to get as distinctly different, but working together and operating as one, because it's a bigger picture of Yeshua and the bride coming together in one as one, when we see that in Revelation chapter 21 and 22. So here, the 2 sons gives us an idea to change or to alter, or in the Hebrew itself, get this, it's suggesting a change in status. So it says 2 sons. It doesn't list them as Navihu and Avihu and Nadab, right? It's not giving them by name. It's saying something happened. These 2 sons, there's a change in status, or it's telling us that what they were doing would create division. It would cause a transformation that was not from Yah. It had to be cut off immediately. Well, what is, remember also, we said it in the Torah portion earlier, it says the 2 sons, there would be a division. Could it be a prophetic in terms of Israel, that Israel would be divided into a northern kingdom and a southern kingdom, the house of Israel and the house of Judah? And so here we also have this connection in 2 Thessalonians 2, 3 and 4, because if you remember, if the serpent is trying to cast a seed in order to cause people to turn aside, turn Mrs. Adam, Eve, turn her aside, in other words, to remove that which y'all had made in the garden and develop a second religious system, we would call that a counterfeit system, right? The anti-Messiah comes, the Antichrist comes, and what do we have? We have an alternative religious system, which I think we're right in the middle of seeing the making of. This battle that's going on in the heavenly realms is being played out in great division within globalism around in the world that we're living in right now, right? So 2 Thessalonians 2, 3 through 4 says, "Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed." So the man of perdition, that man of sin, which we like to affectionately call, and I won't say affectionately call, maybe disaffectionately call, the anti-Messiah, the Antichrist. Who is this guy? The son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called Elohim. So he opposes and exalts himself above all that is. What did the serpent do? Did Elohim really say he's scattered the serpent seed being scattered? What seed are we going to eat? What are we going to release? Are we going to zarah, scatter a counterfeit seed? Maybe it's got a little good seed in it and a little bit of evil seed, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
A little bit of poop.
Just a little bit of poop, just a little bit. Yeah. Or it says, so who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called Elohim, or that is worshipped, so that he as Elohim sits on the temple of Elohim, sits in the temple of Elohim, showing himself that he is Elohim. In other words, he's a usurper. He's going to come in. Hey, I got everything. I got everything I need. I can have my prophet come in, call fire from heaven, and I, as king of the world, can offer sacrifices, bring all the religions together, and rule as the sovereign of the world. Well, so what is it that in this Torah portion after the death of is trying to say? Yah says, I'm cutting off an attempt to usurp my authority, my kingship. Because remember what we said earlier about that word, about Messiah, talking about which is connected to the word we said in the Torah portion earlier, which is the word holy when it comes to kadosh, to consecrate. Pastor Sandy brought out earlier, to be devoted to, devotion, which is connected with numerically connected to the word mashal, which is dominion and rule. So what is behind the veil? The king.
That's right.
The king is behind the veil. And what are they doing with the incense? They're trying to bring in something that would usher in another dominion, another rule, another king, right? To divide and conquer. What is the enemy always wanting to do? To divide and conquer. When a kingdom is divided against itself, it shall not stand. What has the enemy been trying to do since creation? To destroy the kingdom of Yah, so that there's nothing left to usher in the Messiah, the King of the universe. So Nadav and Avihu's Esh Zarah, that connects us with the Vadikach, which is mirroring Eve's sin, is a deliberate attempt to infiltrate the Messiah's mind, the Holy of Holies. When you think of the tabernacle is the picture of the body, the picture of Messiah, the living and walking word. Well, they packed up and moved this tabernacle throughout the wilderness on this journey all the way to the promised land. And then they set it up in the promised land. Eventually they got there, but they had to get rid of a whole generation to do it. But it's suggesting that what would happen is that the mind of Messiah would be defiled, and that their actions would deform Israel's priestly status. I mean, think about, even since Exodus chapter 19, how many times did the enemy try to remove from them the royal priesthood? And how many times Yeshua by his mercy, or Yahweh by his mercy, was doing everything he can to restore the royal priesthood, even to the point said, well, if you guys aren't going to do it, I'm going to separate the tribe of Levi. And they are going to be the ones that are guard, and they will guard and they will protect. And I'm going to separate the Aaron and his sons, and they're going to guard and protect. They're going to vigorously guard and protect. The Levites, who was it that came and arrested Yeshua in the garden? It was the temple. It was the temple guard. The temple guards are the same Levites who are charged with protecting the tabernacle in the wilderness.
Yes.
Can you imagine that? They came and they arrested the one who is the embodiment of the tabernacle or the temple. And they arrested him saying, oh, you're the counterfeit. You're the one that's propagating false seed. No, it's not true. It's not true. So the Dead Sea Scrolls and the Temple Scrolls 11 QT 35, 1 through 8, talking about the strict priestly protocols, is actually telling us that it's warning against the mishandling of Yah's presence. What
Yep,
happens
yep.
when we mishandle Yah's presence
Mhm.
is that it will bring death. It brings death.
How serious it is.
It kills, it steals, and destroys. That's the work of the enemy. But I came that you might have life, and that more abundantly. So, what's this telling us? Let's go to Revelation chapter 13, if you will. Revelation chapter 13, starting with verse 11. Where are we at? It's okay. We're going to have to burn through this pretty quick because my time is almost up. Actually, it is up. Revelation 13, 11, which says, "And I saw another beast coming out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spoke like a dragon, and he exercised all the authority of the first beast in his presence, and he makes the earth and those who dwell in it to worship the first beast whose fatal wound was healed, and he performs great signs that he even makes fire come down out of heaven and the earth in the presence of men. And he deceives those who dwell on the earth because of the signs which it was given him to perform in the presence of the beast, telling those who dwell on the earth to make an image to the beast who had the wound of the sword and has come to life." So you can continue to read the rest of that through verse 18 on your own. But what is it really telling us? We have two sides, and one side is where there's a veil, because the people were not able to enter into the mindset of Messiah and therefore remained in captivity. We see in Leviticus 16:2. Let's go back over there. Yes, we're jumping back and forth. It's biblical gymnastics. Leviticus 16:2. "And Yahweh said to Moses, tell your brother Aaron that he shall not enter at any time into the holy place inside the veil before the mercy seat, which is on the ark, lest he die, and I will appear in the cloud over the mercy seat." So this veil, what is this veil? The parachet is the Hebrew word for it. It's Strong 6532. It means veil. It comes from the root parek, which means rigor or cruelty. And this speaks of the value of parek is 700, or which equals the word mastir, which means hiding. So what's it talking about? There's a harsh separation between the holy place and the Holy of Holies. Why? Because if you go through the veil at the wrong time or more than you're supposed to, then you'll die. Well, in other words, what was Adam supposed to do in the garden? He was supposed to put a guard over the garden, vigorously protect it, and anybody that would invade it, they would surely die. But I have a question. Did Adam vigorously protect the garden?
Yes.
Did the serpent die? He had the opportunity from the beginning to do it, but he didn't do it.
No,
And
not really didn't.
And so mastir talking about hiding. It's Exodus 1:13. "And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor." Parek. It's related to the word parachet. Rigor. What did they serve? Harshly in slavery. It embittered them. Isaiah 53:3 says, "He," talking about Yeshua, "is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised and we esteemed him not." That word, parek, meaning also hiding, is that, and we hid our faces from him. What did we do? We hid our faces with vigor from Yeshua. Think about that. Isaiah 53:3, Deuteronomy 31:8. And I will surely hide my face in that day for all the evils which they shall have wrought. In that they are turned unto other gods.
Yes.
And who's that speaking? Yahweh. And I will surely hide my face in that day. What? There'll be a veil. I'm going to put a veil. Why? When you turn aside to other gods, I'm going to put a veil there. And I'm going to hide it. And I'm going to hide it vigorously from you. Because I cannot allow such idolatry into my presence. And so this another word where it says there, I will surely hide my face. The Hebrew word is satar, means to hide or conceal. It's implying that Yah's face is veiled. It's like a fence. It's like a fence is covering his head when you go into the paleo. A fence or a veil is covering his face. It's suggesting there's a concealment of his divine identity that Yahweh wants to reveal, but he can't. So not everybody can pierce the veil. Not everybody gets to see the veil, see through the veil. Why? Because there's this mindset. The tabernacle is the body of Yeshua. His mind is in the holy place. And in the holy place, he's concealed his identity. And until we come to Yeshua, we do not see him as he is.
True.
Because we don't cross the veil. Yeshua died on the cross, right? He died on that tree, and the veil was rent. But what did the religious system do in the day? They continued to worship a system that was open. Even though it was opened up to them, their eyes were still blinded. They still had a veil over their eyes. Philippians 2:5 says, let this mind be in you, which is also in Yeshua the Messiah. And Matthew 27:51 says, and behold, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom, and the earth did quake and the rocks rent. Well, it makes me think what we started talking about earlier, when the earth changes start to take place, that people are going to have to take a stand. A division will take place. Well, people will look to a globalist system,
Yep.
or a people will turn to Messiah.
Yep.
And we are going to we will have to choose. And I think as this is revealed to us, that the choice for those of us is going to be very easy. We've pursued it. We wonder if we'll be able to stand against the great delusion. But in reality, when we've chosen the seal, we will be sealed. I'm going to get to the sealing of this. So this, the veil, which is related to Mystere about this hiding, it reflects the separation from Yah's mind due to slave mindset. Perek, remember? In Egypt, they had a slave mindset. They were, you can't go outside, Kat. And it was, the slave mindset is perpetuated by the rejecting of the mikvah Israel, the hope of Israel. And it becomes a stumbling stone for the rest of it. So we have this assault on our minds. We have to vigorously protect, to guard our minds, or we too can be deceived by this grand delusion that's coming. And so,
isn't that also going to be when families turn against family and turn in?
They're doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So this hiding. So in other words, what takes place is that Yah even hides his face from all. When at a certain point in time, his face is hidden from everyone who rejects him. You're a stumbling stone. This great one world order, one world religious system, everything's coming together. It's perfect peace. Isn't that what we've been looking for? We want that. And world peace, all that stuff. But it is a rejection of him. He hides his face because he rejected his mind. He rejected, and it makes them vulnerable to the delusion. and it's only the sealed remnant. Ezekiel 9:4 talks about the angels going around Jerusalem looking for all and marking on the forehead all those who sigh and groan because of the things that are going on within the city. We also have that connection over in Revelation chapter 7:3, where there's a sealing of the people. We need to look at that real quick because that's what I was alluding to earlier.
Yeah.
Let's go to Revelation 7:3. And what? Yeah. See, yeah. And it says, do not, saying, do not harm the earth or the sea or the trees until we have sealed the bondservants of our Elohim on their foreheads. Speaking about, he seals the mind of Messiah in us. So it doesn't matter what is thrown at us. We are not moved because we see him as he is. And it builds a confidence, it builds a strength and the courage that we need in order to battle and to move forward into this future. And so Proverbs 25:2 says, it is the glory of Yah, the glory of Elohim, to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter. Who are we? A royal priesthood. This is what we're supposed to do. And that word to search or investigate comes from the word hok, which is a statute or a boundary stones, right, Tammy? And
all over the place.
they're everywhere, suggesting an engraving of divine truth that's on our hearts. Because what did we say? The heart is our mind. It's not the brain. It's the heart. It's the heart. And it's engraved upon our hearts and bound by what? By his divine mark, by his divine limits. That's what encapsulates us. In other words, he extends his veil over us to protect us in a secret place. Psalm 91. Revelation 1:6, he has made us kings and priests unto Yah and his Father. To him be glory and dominion forever and ever. For us to walk in dominion, we come into dominion. We have to,
Yes.
cross the veil. How? Through the blood of Messiah. He made the way for us. We're not assuming the priesthood. We're assuming our royal position, stepping into a place of dominion that we're supposed to live within. So, Leviticus 20, verse 7, sanctify yourselves therefore and be ye holy, for I am Yahweh, your Elohim. Be holy even as I am holy. That's what we say over in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, I think. And what's it talking to us about is that if we don't, in Numbers 5:3, both male and female, shall you put out without the camp, outside the camp, shall you put them, that they defile not their camps in the midst whereof I dwell. Why? So if we are defiled, we're put outside the camp. The word teshalku, like teshuvah, this is teshalku, means to put out. It's connected to the word shalak. Shalak means to send away. It's where we get the word shalak, as in sending out an emissary. But shalak, but in this sense, they are sent out of the camp. Why? Because of the defilement of the camp. Do you want to go outside the boundaries of the camp? Do you want to go outside the veil? You want to go outside from the place where Yah is dwelling? Then that's when we are defiled. So what do? We do the opposite. We step into the holy. We sanctify ourselves.
Yes.
We set ourselves apart for good service.
Mm-hmm.
It's connected to the word Bekir Bam, which means offered, which connects us to this word approach, which connects us to this idea of either we approach the throne through sanctification, or we are expulsed, kicked out because of defilement. Where do you want to be? Where do we want to be? Right? And ultimately, and Yahweh just leaves it to our devices. In Revelation 22:11, he says, he that is unjust, let him be unjust still. And he which is filthy, let him be filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And he that is holy, let him be holy still. And this whole connection is, it allows us to give this being the kedoshim, being set apart, allows us to have the mindset of Messiah because we cross into the veil.
Yeah.
That veil is open to anyone that says, I will, I do. But guess what? If we reject it, we want to bring in our mixture. We want to bring in our religious system. We want to bring in our take on the word. Then what happens is that there is a veil and we'll never see Yah. We will be subject to the great delusion. We will be deceived.
22:11.
Revelation 22:11. And I want to close with this one passage from Ezekiel chapter 37. When you think of Ezekiel chapter 37, what do you think of? Dry bones, the dry bones passage. And so Ezekiel 37, if you'll go with me to verses let's go to verses 20. Let's go to verse 21. And he said to them, thus says Yahweh, your Elohim, behold, I will take the sons of Israel from among the nations where they have gone, and I will gather them from every side and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land on the mountains of Israel, and one king will be king for all of them. And they will no longer be two nations. Remember, right? Two. And they will no longer be divided into two kingdoms, and they will no longer defile themselves with their idols or with their detestable things or with any of their transgressions, but I will deliver them from all their dwelling places in which they have sinned. And I will cleanse them, and they will be my people, and I will be their Elohim. Let's go back a little bit further also to verse 11. And he said to me, son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dried up, and our hope has perished. We are completely cut off. Therefore prophesy to them. Thus says Yahweh Elohim, behold, I will open your graves and cause you to come up out of your graves, my people, and I will bring you into the land of Israel. Then you will know that I am Yahweh. When I have opened your graves and caused you to come up out of your graves, my people, and I will put my spirit within you, and you will come to life, and I will put you on your own land. Then you will know that I, Yahweh, have spoken and have done it, declares Yahweh. Well, what side of the veil do you want to be on? What side? Do you want to be on the side? You want to be on the right side. That's right. So, strange fire. We don't want to bring the strange fire. If we bring the strange fire, we will turn aside. But if we bring the pure fire to light the incense, what is it when the high priest goes in to the holy place? That one time a year that he could do it, he would bring incense, and he would create a smoke of incense, and Yahweh would appear above the smoke, or in the smoke of the incense. All right. Well, there you go. I hope you got something out of that. And thank you, everybody that's joined us online. And until next time, shalom.